Hello, this is James on Video, episode 17, 1995, Goldeneye. Well, the Cold War is finally over, and after a whole over 6.5 year hiatus between License to Kill and this film, a new Bond film is finally here. Pierce Brosnan is finally on the roll, and is 42 years old at the time of recording. He was born in 1953. So yeah, the Cold War is over. However, to link him with old and new, this first scene is set 9 years before 1995, so I'm assuming around 1986, during the Cold War, so it does link up very well. And this is the first time in all my Bond reviews I've included the whole pre-title sequence in recording, because it's a really great pre-title sequence, and it really does, it's amazing. And very much the whole Pierce Brosnan, all his 4 films, that people have always said that he actually looks like James Bond, which is really quite incredible if you think about it, considering of course most people say Sean Connery looks like Bond, with he was the first. So yeah, he was a very popular Bond. You either love him or you hate him, there's no in the middle. So he's simply in a sort of, well, back then Soviet Union spy facility, sort of like a MI6 base, and we're introduced for the first time another 00 agent, officially at least, apart from not to see 006, played by Sean Bean. He plays the character Alec Trevelyan in the film, and we'll get onto him later since he comes back as, of course, the main villain. So they go around the rest of the Russian base, sort of just killing people, you know, doing good typical James Bond style things, and it definitely does have that new James Bond tone. Like I said, a 6-year gap between this and last film. I mean, there was debate whether a Bond film would work in the 90s, because Bond revolves around that kind of American-Soviet axis, doesn't it? Backbone of Cold War. So again, it was something new that the audience weren't really ready for, and the filmmakers probably weren't too ready for either, about how people would view this new Bond. So anyway, James Bond places loads and loads of bombs, and we get another one of our Russian colonial men, Colonial O. I'm going to call him Colonial O Artemov. Artemov. I think that's probably how you pronounce it. Colonial Artemov. That does sound pretty Russian. I think I did probably pronounce that correctly. Honestly, he really just reminds me of just Vladimir Putin. I think every Russian soldier in James Bond leader or colonial leader just reminds me of Vladimir Putin. He's probably the one that reminds me most of him. He's very well, a sort of dictator, and he's Russian, so yeah. But no, he's a very good actor. He plays very well in the film, and James Bond manages to make an escape in the film by running after a plane and jumping off it. So yeah, very good, strong opening to the film. So for the first time in over 30 years since Thunderball, we finally get the Aston Martin DB5 returning, which is another great addition that I really like about the film. It's only in a little bit. I mean, you later get to BMW, which is of course a German car, massive sway right, but still, it's good. And we get introduced to another villain. Again, not sure if I can pronounce this correctly. It's an X, Jiena Onotop. I don't think I'm too far wrong. She's played by Famke Janssen, who is actually Dutch in real life, so yeah. But yeah, it's a good car chase. Not really a car chase, or just a side-by-side kind of race kind of thing. But no, it does work quite well. The music in the background, which of course you got on it for copyright reasons, doesn't quite link in with the film too well, but I think that it's still just nice to see the Aston Martin DB5 back. And he is in Monaco. We get a view of Monaco, which is a very nice scenery. So Onotop, along with Colonial Artemov, steal the the helicopter. They disguise themselves as kind of stand soldiers, steal the helicopter and go to a remote part in Siberia, and we get introduced to the Bond girl of the film, which is Natalia Semenova, played by Isabella Scorpico. I can't pronounce names, I always apologise. And we also get introduced to another signed villain who's quite interesting role in the film about technology, Boris Koresenko, played by Alan Cumming, who's a very good actor. I think he does suit the role quite well. I mean, someone like him you would think would be kind of quite an annoying character like J.W. Pepper, but he isn't actually. He's actually quite a good character, which, you know, is good. So they kill all the Russian workers in there. I'm not quite sure why, but I mean, I guess it wouldn't really make much of an interesting Bond film if they just kind of walked in and said hi and got the Goldeneye, which is the gold actually is just kind of like a golden kind of computer chip thing, which if you have it you can kind of like deactivate loads of computer chips, which of course is what the whole film is based around. Sort of deactivating computer chips, specifically in London and I think Washington DC, so that basically, well, it's generally, you know, extreme kind of Russians who want to have world dominance again. So the entire base is wiped out by that kind of I don't know why I'm saying nuclear, you know, kind of a spaceship with the Goldeneye computer chip hacked into it. It wipes out the building and everyone's dead, and the building is kind of on fire. I'm not quite sure a computer chip set the building on fire, but I guess there was electricity going on, so it does make sense. And we get NI6, and we finally get a brand new moneypenny for the first time in all of Bond's history, which in 1995 would have been 1962, so 33 years. It's Money Player, played by Samantha Bond. I like her surname is of course also Bond. Very new look on the role. And M is also played by a new actress called Judy Bench, who was a terrific M. She was a woman M. I think she worked really, really well as a character, and was something very new and a new role of M, sort of more dominant role of M, which I think was quite good. More dominant character that appeared in more roles, more important roles throughout the series, which I really quite liked. So MI6 does get a brand new rebound, apart from Q, of course. Q is still played by Desmond, and he's still really, really great, still acting. I think, yeah, he does really, really well. I mean, by Goldeneye, he was now 81 years old, but he was still acting, which I thought was really good. And despite being introduced to the BMW and its gadgets never actually do anything in the film, so yeah. Honestly, we've got a really great Aston Martin DB5 opening shot, but then we got a BMW that doesn't really show much in the film, so I mean, I suppose you can't have it all. Although the exploding pen and belt are actually quite cool and do sharp in the film. So we get one of James Bond's, he seems to have known this man from previous in the Cold War, and they were originally enemies, but because the Cold War is now of course over, they are working together. And he appears in later films, and he's more important in later films, as you'll discover. So James Bond goes to an old Russian cemetery, and finally Alec Trelevan is back, not as 006 but as the main villain. We find out that his parents were part of a Nazi kind of organisation in the Soviet Union, which you did get definitely during World War II. I mean, definitely in the West, of course, when the Nazis invaded Ukraine, they presented them with flowers. So yeah, interesting. They would rather be occupied by Nazis than Russians. Anyway, we won't get into that now. But yes, his parents were Nazis who had to kill themselves in World War II for obvious reasons. Many Nazi leaders did that or fled the country. So he hates the British for that, because of course they were British. I'm not quite sure why he hates the British for that, because they were just, yeah, it's quite confusing, but they grew up in Britain, went over to Russia, became these kind of Nazi terrorist groups, and of course committed suicide after World War II. So he wants revenge from that, and he tries killing James Bond and Natalia in the helicopter, but of course James Bond escapes. So then we get a new Russian Secretary of War who we haven't really seen yet in the film, and he's a pretty good character. I think he's very good. Doesn't appear too much in the film, but for what he is in it is quite good. But what does follow is a very good chase scene between Kolonel Odomov and James Bond and all the other, of course, little Russian soldiers. And yeah, it's really good. Sorry, my voiceover doesn't link up with me saying it. Yeah, there you go. Now the chase scene follows. And again, it's definitely kind of a new feel of Bond. I mean, honestly, I couldn't really have pictured, I guess I could probably have pictured Roger Moore doing it, but definitely not Sean Connery, not George Lazenby, and not Timothy Dalton. So yeah, it was a new, there he is again, like I said about new style of Bond, which is new, and I do quite like it. And then of course this thing, he comes up with a flipping, you know, tank, and he's chasing in St. Petersburg Clomio Odomov to try and get Natalia back. So it's a really good theme. So much so, if I looked into this, apparently some Russians started thinking that St. Petersburg was generally, you know, like getting terrorised by a tank, but the filmmakers reassured them that it wasn't, and they had to publicly, I think, go on Russian news in 1995 to say that St. Petersburg is fine. Of course, this was mostly filmed in a studio, and with, you know, easy, you know, plastic or foam that breaks off. James Bond and Natalia were made trapped in the not quite yet, again, sorry, my voiceover isn't linking up the film. At this moment they are in the train of Alec Trenovan, of course, one of the main villains, and of course it blows up. They manage to escape, be trapped in there, try and blow them up after 3 minutes, but didn't quite manage, and their scene now is in Cuba, which of course they found out is where the main base is for the end mission. And that actor there actually appeared in The Living Daylights, but he makes a coming back. Definitely has seen quite a lot throughout films like James Bond, where they use past actors, which I think is really, really good. Past act different roles, very, very good. You know, it's nice to see returning faces always. So Alec Trenovan, of 006 agent, tells James Bond his plan, and it's pretty brutal. I mean, wipe out mega chips, and also wants to steal all the money in London. Why he wants to steal all the money in London, not quite sure, because strangely, but like being a villain, he doesn't seem like the type of villain who is interested in money. But I mean, I guess all villains want money at the end of the day in power. And Boris comes back again, and he picks up James Bond's pen on the table, as you're about to see. He starts playing with it, but of course that blows up the pen, because it's a pen which, if you click it twice, it sets the timer off and it blows up. So it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like, by complete accident, James Bond manages to escape rather than being killed, which again, not been seen before until this film, and this film introduced it, and it was again just really good and what you needed to see. So the entire base starts blowing up, and Bond and old former 006 agent start having a really, really good fight. It's probably one of the best fight sequences ever in a James Bond film, possibly even better than one from Rush with Love. I don't know, I'll let you decide, but ultimately it finishes with James Bond coming out victorious and then dropping down to quite a brutal death, really. I mean, getting kind of, you know, dropped like 95, well, not like about, 95 yards maybe, like 250 feet down into like the concrete pit. So yeah. But Boris manages to actually survive until he gets killed by a bunch of freezing coolant, which is blown up in tanks. I don't know, would you rather be burnt alive or freeze alive? It's one of those philosophical questions. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.